All right, here we go. Welcome to another episode of Driving with Slip on the way home from work today. About to holler at y'all about the Braves again. I mean, it's Brave season until draft comes, I guess I can talk about the Hawks, but once, they aren't even playing in the play-in this year. Ain't that something? They actually in the playoffs. Yeah, so shout out to them. I'm so shocked that they are a better team without Trae Young. And it's just crazy how some certain pieces work better together than others, no matter what the level of the talent is. I can say that Trae Young is a better player than C.J. McCollum, and I don't think too many people are going to push back against that. But C.J. McCollum is such a better player for this Hawks team than Trae Young. But let me get back to hollering y'all about the Braves. Today we are looking into the second game of a 3-game set with the Marlins. Yesterday, Grant Holmes pitched, and he got his shit smacked around. And I want to say I predicted it. However, I hate predicting things like that because it ultimately means that the Braves are, lost the game or something. And, that's never fun. But the Braves got their ass whooped. It seemed that every single time the Braves offense would fight back in some capacity, the pitching staff would just give up runs immediately. And that's what happened, yesterday with Aaron Bummer coming in after tying the game 3-3, giving up an immediate 3-run home run, 3 batters into the inning. And it's like, well, what a deflating thing to happen. That is the worst thing to happen for baseball, is when you're losing and your team battles back. That's when you need a shutdown inning. That's how you at least keep people energized. People get so deflated when they're like, all right, we worked hard to fight back and get these runs, and then next thing you know, you asking us to do this shit again? And it's not easy to get 3 runs. It's not easy. Anyway, that's what happened, and the Braves ultimately lost. And so that's just a bummer. And the thing is, that means they have to win these next 2 games to get a series win. They're currently the last team in the major leagues without a series loss. And right now they're behind the 8 ball a little bit because of that loss. And it's not like they have the best pitchers coming up. It's not like they have some dudes that are absolutely going to shut down things. It's not like they have Chris Sale to make sure that he, stops any streak. Just like with Grant Holmes, we got 2 guys with Bryce Elder and Ronaldo Lopez, whose peripheral advanced stats do not look as good as their original stats that they currently have. And that's just a matter of fact. It showed up with Grant Holmes, and I hope it doesn't show up with these guys, but at some point these things are going to come back to average. And if you look at my Twitter, I reposted I retweeted a tweet that really spoke to the pitching ERA being in the 2.5s or 2.8s, while the FIP, which is the fielding independent pitching, which is just the how someone is pitching regardless of fielding. So getting a better look at how specifically the pitching is going it's up into 4s. That's a big difference. Especially when talking about ERA and the calculations of those numbers, a good run and a half difference is a lot. And, that they're going to even out a little bit. But, this team needs a little bit more stability. And right now, I'm worried if they're going to be able to do that. I also don't get why this always happens with the Marlins. The Marlins, I believe they're a decent team. Their pitching is okay. Their pitcher that they had yesterday, Yuri Perez, is one of their top pitchers. And the Braves smacked them around a little bit. The Braves got some hard hits off of them. Strung together a lot of runs, or strung together a lot of hits to get those 3 runs in that 4th inning. And so it's not like they can't hit the poor pitching. Is that there gets these times where the Marlins just hit and hit and hit against the Braves, and it's like, yo, shut these people down. This team is not a good enough team to score 10 runs off of. And this is where I worry about the back end of the bullpen. I'm not saying that the back end of the bullpen has to be fantastic. However, it can't give up 7 runs in 5 innings. That's not good. That's not a good ERA. I don't expect them to always shut it out. It's the back half of the bullpen. I do expect them to be able to have some clean innings. I do expect them to be able to throw strikes. And I do expect them to keep the ball in the yard, and it seems like the people that they have in the back half of the bullpen are currently unable to do that. So this is going to be a wait and see on the moves that the Braves make in terms of what they're going to do with the starting pitching. With what they do with the starting pitching, it's going to determine what they do with the bullpen. Is someone like a J.R. Ritchie going to come up and replace somebody in the starting rotation? Is Didier Fuentes going to come up and replace somebody in the rotation, or is he going to go back to the bullpen where he started out? And people are a little bit questionable about Fuentes' ability to get that third pitch, as well as stop relying on the high fastball to get all of his strikeouts. I think that's fair. I also think he's young, so you got to put him in a situation where he's going to be most effective. Right now, I think it is probably most effective for him to be in the bullpen. However, it looks like we need him in the rotation, because we need somebody in the rotation, and Strider isn't going to be the only one that's going to be able to protect that. I do think at this point that Grant Holmes may be a better suited for the bullpen. It's been a couple times this season where he's come in, pitched 3 good innings, and then can't locate, and then gets hit. He surely can't go 3 times through the order. I mean, there's barely any pitchers that can. However, he definitely cannot, and that has to be taken into consideration. And I think Walt Weiss and his staff are going to take that in consideration. I think right now they're put in a situation where they have to use him. So I don't think this is negligence at any point or anything like that. I don't think their decisions right now are actively holding the team back. I think that what's holding the team back, if anything, is players not playing to where they need to play. But it's good to see Acuna turning around. He's starting to play, and some of those hits are starting to fall, and that's always great to see. Austin Riley is starting to hit a little bit more. He's starting to, catch up to the fastball just a little bit more. There's still a few times where he strikes out looking where I'm like, yo, what are you guessing at? He's got to stop guessing, because that's what it looks like he's doing. Whether he's guessing or not, I'm not really sure, but that's what it looks like he's doing. So, overall, that's what is currently going on with the Braves. That's what I currently see as the biggest hindrance with the Braves. And, I may be on another time, maybe even tomorrow, to really see, because I think the way that the Braves played today and whether they're able to get a win is really going to, put in perspective, what this team is going to look like long term. And, is it going to push the team to make some moves? Because Strider's not going to be back until May. So that there needs to be some move to help this staff out. I think they're able to get away with it a little bit now. However, it's not a healthy thing to do. Like, I don't know if y'all remember in 2020 when they were just throwing at anybody and the Braves could just hit anybody. And they were going to win whatever starter or whatever start that anybody put up there. But, I don't think that's a sustainable thing. And we really need someone to be able to be, a third and possible fourth starter. And right now, it really looks like we have, I'd say 2.5, 5 guys and 1 guy that shouldn't be in the rotation. So that definitely means something needs to change. And once again, I think I said this the other day, you can't just depend on Strider coming back and being that number 1, possibly not even a number 2 guy. So I'm excited to see what the Braves do. As always, this has been Driving with Slip. Don't slip.